the business of selling cars and houses is a criminal enterprise, if you will. You know, with suits and ties to make you think, to make you feel more comfortable with getting robbed. It's like the song that Michael Jackson was singing, "Smooth Criminal." These people are smooth criminals. It's a criminal organization. It's a crime organization. All this stuff is a crime organization.
Yeah,
But
it
they
is.
want you to feel good about dying, if you will. You
No, but
know.
there, he found in there almost, I believe that's the term double indemnity means.
Yes.
Like you have an insurance policy, and then you have an additional insurance policy in your auto
Yeah.
loan documents.
Yes. Right. It's like you have
It's not very good either.
a vehicle protection plan, right? That you got to pay for out of your pocket, and then they turn around, which is an insurance. It's really an insurance, and then they turn around and tell you, "Oh, you got to have car and you got to have automobile insurance."
Maybe
Well, I
that's
got
not
two
what double
insurances now.
indemnity mean. I got to look into it. I forgot double
Well,
indemnity.
well,
But anyway, we got it's not that sort of insurance. It's a different kind of. It's for the maintenance of the car.
yeah, but still, it's still an insurance because I can still file a claim on it. You see what I'm saying? So I don't really need that policy. I have the auto insurance policy that does the exact same thing.
Mm-mm, no, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it don't. They just told you yesterday they don't.
Okay.
So the policy within the loan documents is
Did you
more.
read it? Let me ask you a question. Did you read it?
I got you. That's why I got you.
Well,
No,
if
look.
I'm
Wait,
telling
wait,
you
wait.
what it is,
Some things are common sense. Like if I get into an accident, I'm not gonna call the people that take care of the maintenance on the car. I'm gonna call my auto insurance.
sure. But guess what? That still doesn't get rid of the fact that the other document you have is an insurance policy. It's still an insurance because it's for damages. It's for a loss, right? Um, they say it's roadside coverage, right? I have roadside coverage in my auto policy. So why do I need to pay you $3,000 or $4,000 for a protection plan, which is everything that my car or my auto insurance is actually doing?
Yeah, insurance is very interesting to me.
You know what I'm saying? It's a scam, is what it is. I don't really need that because the auto insurance covers all that. Insurance is property, and uh, under articles of inside of the Constitution where they have to protect your property under the Fourth and Fifth Amendments, right? But if you get into an accident, right, or let's say you get a speeding ticket, for instance, since you're paying for the insurance, right, and you want to attest the ticket, it's the potato. They said you were speeding, that you broke the law and all this other stuff like that. Even though you didn't harm anybody, you know, you might have been going what 50 and a 35, right? Which is a precautionary warning. It's not that you're breaking the law. It's a precautionary thing. But they give you a ticket and they're gonna take you to court. And if you go to court so many times for the same things, eventually you end up losing your license, and then you have a problem with getting a job, and so on and so on. So it's
Mm-hmm.
economic oppression. But
Mm-hmm.
the insurance company, you're not supposed to go to court. You're not supposed to hire an attorney or any of that. You're supposed to call the insurance company, and the insurance company is supposed to what? Protect the property of the insured. You see what I'm saying? It's your property. You paying for it. You're paying for the protection of that property. And so the insurance company is the one who is supposed to hire an attorney if you're supposed to get that ticket to the insurance company.
Okay, so he's gonna explain the things that I shouldn't have did. So when I say I should have did, I mean like skip jobs. I always felt like that. If I lose this job, I can just go get another one, which is what I've done all my life. I worked 5 years here, 7 years there, and then, or sometimes less than that. But in the long run, in the way the society is now and how it's going to be, I don't even wait a minute. I don't even know if that should even apply because the future is not the same. Like it's
No,
very few jobs to where you can do 25, 30 years on and retire anymore.
no,
So
people
I
don't
don't
even
know.
hold jobs that long anymore.
Yes, people do. I'm just saying I don't know that it's beneficial
Well,
anymore.
we're going into a digital age. We're already there. I mean, but think about it. Everything is becoming digitized and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And so we're moving at a rapid pace, but we're not moving at a rapid pace to recover or to repair from the damage that was caused from the industrial age. There's still a lot of damages. There's still a lot of inconsistencies. I should say there's still a lot of crime that happened in the industrial age that we never recovered from. And now we're quickly going into a digital age, which means that now that they're going to stack on more and more atrocities because I can just push a button. That didn't happen. You see what I'm saying? It's like you being out at sea, right? And they're making you walk the plank. You know, it's either you jump or we're gonna jab you in your back with this sword. You know what I'm saying? And then you're gonna turn around and look at all the rest of the people that's on the ship and say, "Did you see that man die? Did you see that man jump over?" Right? And if you say, "Yeah, I saw it," then you're gonna be the next to walk the plank because you talking. See, this is stuff we have in the neighborhoods. We're calling people, they're a snitch. We telling, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's to say that a crime was not committed and we didn't see it. And that's what your job, the corporations, the politicians, the presidents, the judges, they're all doing the same thing. They know that these crimes are being committed, right? But if you say anything, you're gonna be the next one to walk the plank.
I got a topic that I'd like to talk about. If you are an adult, senior citizen, and you have an adult child who has some mental issues, you're still responsible for them to some extent. If your child grown, yes, but he don't have it together to where he mentally disturbed and he doing some things and he don't know how to go about getting the stuff that he should be entitled to, like disability, food stamps. That's your job as a parent.
Or you can try, but that don't mean that
Or
that that individual's going to listen. It's like they say, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you gotta want the help.
Yeah. So
But
it
isn't that
takes the
part?
individual.
That's a part of the addiction and the mental problem that they have. They don't know. They don't know.
Well, the thing is that you take
Age.
a jar of cookies and you put the cookies um, up in the cabinet, and you go away into your room and whatever you sleep and the child you wake up and you come back into the room and you find the child climbed on top of the cabinets to get to the cookies that you thought that you put away. Now the child know once they start doing that, they already know that they're doing wrong. Nobody had to tell them to do wrong. They just done it intuitively.
That sugar.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into this no matter what nobody tell me, no matter how
And
I put
I
it.
suffer the
I'm gonna
consequence.
yeah. Maybe I won't get caught. I'll get to the cookies before mom and daddy wake up, right? And I'll hide in the closet up under some covers and eat the donuts.
Oh, ooh, that person know who we talking about. We ain't got to say no names. Huh?
No, I'm just saying that's the scenario. That's America. That's the corporations. The corporations, they the children that have been eating the donuts and the cookies and hiding it. as if though they haven't been eating the donuts and the cookies. It's the sin, it's the wrong that they know that they're doing, but they're pretending like they're not doing it. Right? Maybe
Okay.
I won't get caught.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to
So
get you off the.
let's go back to the job, right? So on the job, right, you become like the child that's eating the donuts, right? If I get caught eating the donuts and they don't like that I ate the donuts, I'll leave and I'll go get another job. And I'll go over there and eat the donuts over there. And then when I get caught eating the donuts over there, I'll leave and get another job. You
Them
see what I'm
years be
saying?
adding up. 2 years here, 2 years there. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
you 60 years old.
And so when it comes down to a retirement, you're not going to get a whole lot of money for your retirement and stuff like that because you never stayed consistent on working a job. But here's the other crime that's taking place. See, they're getting you to participate in the crime. The other crime that takes place is that the employer never pays you what you're worth, ever. Never pays you what you're worth. And they
If you
have
was an
you.
employer, would you pay your employees what they were?
Yes, I would.
Let's say you was a manufacturer of these. What do they call these homes?
Refurbished home.
Refab homes.
Yeah.
If you own the business, if the employee is good at his job, you should be paying them 50,000, but you really only gonna probably net $900,000 that year. You're gonna pay every employee $50,000 if you got 10 employees.
If they
If
qualify for it, yes.
it's 5 employees times 50,000.
200.
That's a lot of money that you're paying out, and you could just have that in your pocket. You just go ahead and pay them like 40 or 35
Why?
because you can.
Who said so? Who told you you can do that? I mean, you can, but is that a spiritual principle or is that an economic principle?
I'm just saying, as an employer, if you're the one who has came up with this idea and you figured out how to build things and how to sell it and how to market it, you don't necessarily want to pay your employee top dollar. They can start their own business if they're so smart.
If you paid them properly, they would start their own business.
That's why I'm not gonna pay you.
Then that
So you
means
stay right here.
that you deliberately know that you're eating donuts and hide it.
And they good and they glaze.
Now, and this is what it says. This is what Islam said that you're not supposed to be hiding a lot the truth and falsehood. That's truth and falsehood, which we just got done talking about.
Yeah.
So then that means that when the day of judgment comes, then you're deserving of everything that you get. That's what that means.
Mm.
So, and that day of judgment, I ain't talking about when the world ends and all you die and you go. No, your judgment, you're gonna be meeting your judgment while you living.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Uh, my mom used to say that don't have any regrets. So I told my sons don't have any regrets. But and along with saying that, you should probably include some specifics and say this just as long as you're willing to suffer the consequences, whatever those consequences are going to be. You don't know what the consequence is going to be
No.
of you doing whatever. You just living your life and you don't want to have regrets. You don't know.
Your life,
You're hurting people in the process.
the end of your life is the ultimate consequence. But
Mm.
we never think about the consequences that we're suffering while we're living because of our actions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get out of here unscathed. Your money is not going to save you from this thing right here. Everybody's going to meet
I
it.
always was hoping that God would be easy on me.
No,
But now I have a spinal problem.
no,
I can't sit straight.
no.
And I
Okay.
ain't that bad. I'm not that bad of a person to where I got to be penalized in my back. I guess he said,
So,
I'll tell you what you can
listen,
do, what you can
listen,
endure.
listen, Linda. Some things we brought on ourselves. For instance, this bulging disc that I have in my back, right? I never, I always knew I had a issue with my hip and range of motion, right? But once they told me deliberate, hey, you got a bulging disc in your back, and guess what? Now I feel every drop of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But before then, I wasn't cognitive. I knew that I had some problems, but now it seems like it's magnified all of a
Ignorance is
sudden.
bliss.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying all that to say this right here, that in business, there's a way to conduct business. Business is supposed to be conducted honestly and fairly and equitably among all nations, right? And so for me to be an employee and knowing, just think about this right here. We have all these gurus, these righteous people who claim that, that we follow the Constitution. Well, the Constitution says that you can't pay for a debt. The only way you can pay for a debt is with what? Silver and gold, not paper money. Paper money is the illusion. Okay, so probably in your state commercial law, I know it's in the Arizona commercial law, that your employer is supposed to pay you in the equivalent. No, listen. Your employer is
See, that's
supposed to
why
pay
they haven't to cut him.
your
We're
employer.
not attorneys.
I just don't have nothing to do with being
It's
no
law.
attorney.
It's law.
No, it's not. It's a spiritual law. And the law, by the way, is not man-written law, right? The Constitution is also a law, but it's a man-written law. But the principles behind that are spiritual. They're libation. Okay, so your employer is supposed to pay you in the equivalent of the US dollar. Now, if he did that, you wouldn't be in the trouble that you're in right now. But then that's what I mean. When you are in business and you know this, you won't do it. You won't do it. You done told me you wouldn't do it.
What?
You wouldn't do it.
So anyway, your sons.
Of course, it's a wonderful thing to be able to have a conversation with your sons about every aspect of life, including religion, right? And so I'm able to have that, that conversation.
Hours and hours too.
Yes, and why should we not? Because like one of the conversations that we was having last night with my oldest son, we was talking about one of the family members, and when he Googled the family member, he said, "Oh, no, he was a white guy." I said, "No. Listen to your father. I've done all the research already. They're going to lie to you. Okay, this man that they was referencing is not a white man. They're going to show you that that's who it is." And so when you are informed about who you are, your history, right, and your genetics, when you hear people say, "Oh, this is," no, listen, genetics are different. They're not the same. You see what I'm saying? I have a specific genetic bloodline from my mother and my father. I know my father's bloodline and I know my mother's bloodline, right? And so when you look at the bloodline of white people, if you will, and I don't mean to make this about white people. It's not just about white people.
No.
It's people that look like me too. They're not genetically the same as I am. Everybody is not genetic. You know what I'm saying? You look like me, but your genetics are different.
I don't know why everybody's so sensitive. Like you can't say nothing about white people or Mexicans or black.
But
we can say it. We're not being offensive. We're not being rude. It's just all just facts.
Yeah, but when you look at their paternal bloodline and their maternal bloodline, their bloodlines are totally different. So don't sit there and tell me that we're the same. We're not the same. We're just not.
That we're just not.
Okay.
And that's it.
So
you ain't got to say no more.
Right. So
like
That means that we have different codings, that we're going to do different things. We're going to see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Um, but that doesn't mean that we have to commit violence against one another because we see things differently. You got to learn how to cohabitate with other people. You know what I'm saying? You can't go and get a bat and go and crack them upside their head every time that you want something from somebody. You know,
I would advise you don't do that.
well,
It's advised that you don't.
well, we have a Western government that does that on a regular basis. It's their everyday job. It's their MOS.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, that is their military occupation. Why? Because we're under military occupation.
I told you, yeah, you dance around too much illegal stuff.
We are. We're under military occupation. We have been, since the 1700s. Well, before then, really since early, the late early 1500s. We have been under a military occupation that's been calling itself a government, that has told us that they have treaties with us and that they have laws, and they lied. They just made it all up. It's made up. They created it and they put it on paper, and then they put it out there, and then we read it and we believe it. It's not true. It's all fake. You know.
Yeah.
You talk about a fake government. The scripture talks about not removing the ancient landmarks of your fathers and mothers who were before you, right? The number one landmark they're talking about is your DNA, right? That's the number one. You're not supposed to be tampering with that. Number two, the land that you're from. Nobody else is supposed to be tampering with that. It's your livelihood. That's why blood and soil. It's a serious thing. The law of blood, right? And they know this. Don't they can try to say, oh well, we don't know, and it's conquest, and you lost the war. Listen, it's a spiritual warfare. There are those who are, uh, shall I say, demented in their spiritual outlook, and there are those who are elevated in their spiritual outlook. For instance, you done a clip, I think it was sometime last week, where you was talking about the monkey thing, right? And how certain people in society believe that we're related to monkeys or apes or whatever. That is emphatically not true.
I have seen some black people that look like apes. Lie.
Well, we're not talking about we're not talking about the look. Family. We're not talking about the look. We're talking about the DNA. Okay, they know that the highest DNA strand among the animal kingdom is a DNA strand of 5, and from leaving from there, they went from there to the human family and found out that the vast majority of the rest of the planet in the human family are DNA strand of 6. But there is a particular group of people on the planet who have a DNA strand of 9, and nobody else has it. Nobody else has it. That DNA strand of 9. So 6 is the common DNA strand of mankind. 9 is the DNA strand. It's the DNA strand of man. There's mankind, and then there's man.
It's the craziest thing ever for us as humans to think that all blood is the same.
Yeah.
You're talking about people, upright humans, having all the same blood. It just doesn't even make. I'm not even a scientist. I'm not even pretending to act like I know science and understand all that stuff, but it just don't even make sense.
Yeah.
Then why do you have blood transfusions, and why can't certain people transfuse other people? And why is only one blood that can transfuse all? Stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
Quit playing.
So in that right there, we're not the same. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're all God's children. Okay.
Maybe,
Okay.
maybe.
All right.
Yeah, we can all be God's children. What they got to do with it?
Well, if we was all God's children, why are we murdering and killing and robbing and
Well,
stealing?
we know family can be very harmful to each other. Okay.
Yeah. But like a lot of these young people today, you see on it could be just social media too, though. But it's not just social media. You see it with your own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
These young people today think that they can run up on somebody's porch and steal their packages and stuff like that. Like it's okay.
They ain't watching.
You know what I'm saying? You running up with guns, trying to rob people and stuff like that, trying to take their stuff. Like that's okay.
But
Now, what has happened to you? You have been reduced to the mental state of an animal.
let me guess, you can't get a job. That's why you going stealing people packages.